Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy today. Happy Monday. Oh my gosh, my brain, all day I've known it's Monday. Even my pill reminder said, hey, it's Monday. But guess what? Hit play and my nose either runs or I forget what day it is. Oh, it's going to be one of those days, which is not a bad thing, okay? Not a bad thing at all. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world or whatever time you're watching this. It's July 7th, it's a Monday. Good morning, Muddy. So I was wondering, what should I do for a show today? And then Muddy inspired me yesterday while we were texting. So, first and foremost, we have some birthdays that, Merry Monday to you, my friend. My Muddy twin. So we have some birthdays today, and I normally don't mention birthdays, but Sammy mentioned them, so I figured, you know what the hell? When 3 people have the same birthday, you legit have to mention it. So happy birthday to Bruce, Sammy's father. Happy birthday to Butch, Sammy's friend. And happy birthday to Sir Richard Starkey. And for all of those of you who do not have an internet or know how to use it, that'd be Ringo Starr. That's right. Young 85 today. So apparently, so I Googled this, and Sammy also pointed it out, that she says, oh yeah, every year on his birthday I do the peace and love, right? So that's his thing. At noon your time, he asks you to just put peace, to just do peace and love. So today at noon, do your peace and love, okay, wherever your noon is. So in about 27 minutes, Sammy gets it. And then it'll be my turn in about 3.5 hours. So, in fact, I'm going to set an alarm for it so I don't forget. All right. But anyways, sorry, that's bothering me. All right. So what's our subject for today? Music therapy. Music therapy. It seemed fitting, right? It seemed totally fitting. When she told me about her friend Butch, all I could think of was Born to Be Wild. Seriously, that's older sibling's favorite song. But yeah. Or she says it's her song, oh, that's my song. And for those of us who have lived under a rock most of our lives and don't know how to go out there and just cut loose, we should all be born to be wild. So, all right, let's get going. I got a new pen. Yeah, the pen's called to me and they won. So, yeah, I don't. Oh, it's going to be one of those days. I can already feel it. My brain is just not firing on all cylinders today. So anyways, let's go. What is music therapy? Oh, and just so you know, I got this from clevelandclinic.org. So clevelandclinic.org. Cleveland as in Ohio. All right. What is music therapy? Music therapy is the use of music and or elements of music like sound, rhythm, and harmony to accomplish goals like reducing stress or improving quality of life. Music therapy experiences may include singing, playing instruments, or writing music. Some sessions may involve listening to music and talking about its meaning. Sammy said Butch was born to be wild, which is exactly why I think that song hit my head when, especially when she sent me the picture. Funnest looking couple ever. So, yeah. So, although my parents were pretty fun. Definitely not of the Harley variety, but you can't have everything. So so yeah, okay, so I'm going to just read this through and then we'll talk about it. Okay, we'll go back through and we'll talk about it. So what conditions can music therapy manage? Music therapists use this form of treatment to manage a vast range of conditions. It's typically a complementary therapy, i.e. a part of a bigger treatment plan. Research shows music therapy can offer benefits to people with, and we'll go back over this, okay, when we come back to it. I just want to get to the big stuff. Music therapy helps people of all ages, children, adolescents, adults, and from all walks of life. It may benefit many different aspects of your well-being, including, and we'll get back to that, okay, That's so cool. I'll read that in a second. Music therapy can also support many aspects of a child's development, including, and we'll get back to that. So, music therapy can take place anywhere, and we'll get back to that. I know you're like, seriously, Shelly Marie? Yeah, because I just, if we start now, we'll never get through this. So, Sammy says a friend of hers, her daughter, her friend's daughter, is starting college this fall and she's going into music therapy. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. I don't know how long music therapy's been around, but I tell you, before I grew up in an era where we didn't talk about depression, so you didn't know a lot about it. But I have to say, I would probably say music saved my life. Music and movies. Music and movies. Back when I was growing up, being a nerd was not cool. Being a geek was not cool. I still haven't figured out, those two definitions seem to change on the whim, which one is the smart people, but they love, goofy stuff, which one is the pop culture geeks. I don't know. So we'll just say I'm a proud nerdy geek. I just fall under both categories. I'm certainly not stupid, but I am not a genius either. However, all right. So again, Sammy, thank you for inspiring this one. And Sir Ringo. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because growing up, it's like I loved the Beatles. I loved the Beatles. And my parents were surprised because but I actually had a friend in high school who loved the Beatles and then transferred her love of the Beatles onto me, which of course was fine because my parents liked the Beatles. But it was funny because I was always a Paul fan, right? Like Paul McCartney, Sir Paul McCartney. Everybody loves Paul McCartney. But then one of my really good friends, Heidi, an older sibling, and even Sammy, all love Ringo. And so you start looking at him more. And I remember growing up and watching the movie I think it was Caveman or whatever. And I had no idea he was one of the Beatles. I was a little kid, okay, at the time that movie came out. But yeah, I had no idea it was one of the Beatles. And then when you find out later, you're like, what? But yeah, I remember he was just always so funny and goofy in that movie. And I loved that movie. I don't know why, it just kind of spoke to my inner whatever. But then as I got older, Sammy suggested a documentary on George Harrison, and I have to admit, I kind of shifted loyalties. So, yeah, I mean, dude was totally zen. But each one of them had a quality, that you just like it. I mean, Paul McCartney perseveres, John Lennon, fighting for what's right. Ringo Starr, just living your best life and enjoying every moment, and George Harrison, just get back to center. So it's probably why even though they broke up, it's probably why their music still lives on, because they put all of themselves into these things. So, again, if you don't know who Ringo Starr is, find an internet and look it up. So, and if you don't, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I probably shouldn't say that. Like a couple years ago, one of the, the late night shows, we're trying to, we're questioning people. Do you know who Paul McCartney is? But then when they said the Beatles, oh yeah, I know who the Beatles are. But they didn't know how do you not know who Paul McCartney is? Seriously. I mean, seriously. It's like, I don't know. I mean, that's not a bad, that's just kind of like question mark over my head. So anyways, let's get rolling. Music therapy is the use, again, we'll read this again. Music therapy is the use of music and or elements of music like sound, rhythm, and harmony to accomplish goals like reducing stress or improving quality of life. Music therapy experiences may include singing, playing instruments, or writing music. Some sessions may involve listening to music and talking about its meaning. So at one time I was volunteering as it was a hospice volunteer. And you would go in, and a lot of times you would just visit the patients or you would sit with them. And during our oh God, I can't even think of what they're called. Oh gosh, our introduction thing to, all the things we needed to learn. Kind of like our, why can I not think? My brain, it just shut off. Anyways, they actually had a music therapist And I thought it was pretty cool. And then, like, we had to sing with her, and, we did all the stuff during our whatchamacallit thingy. And, yeah, it was just, and you forget how much music really touches you. And it's funny because growing up, I used to hate singing in front of people. I mean, I closed the door, put on my Walkman headphones, and then poof, I go to town. But the minute someone put a mic in front of my face, it's like my voice gets all shaky, I get all nervous, and I don't understand why. Whether you think you can sing or whether people make fun of you because maybe you're tone deaf, who cares? Just do it anyways. And just enjoy it. And if you do hear someone that's tone deaf or can't sing, but they're up there in front of you and they're singing, don't make fun of them. Just join them, okay? Just cheer them on, because if you're sitting there and you refuse to get up and sing because you're shy, then that, don't make fun of the person who is willing to get up there and just give it their all. So, okay, what conditions can music therapy manage? Music therapists use this form of treatment to manage a vast range of conditions. It's typically a complementary therapy, i.e., a bigger part of a treatment plan. Research shows music therapy can offer benefits to people with dementia, traumatic brain injury, a stroke, Parkinson's disease, cancer, autism spectrum disorder, mood disorders, anxiety disorders, learning disabilities, developmental disabilities, pain, acute and chronic, substance use disorders. Music therapy helps people of all ages, children, adolescents, and adults, and from all walks of life. It may benefit many different aspects of your well-being, including mental, emotional, physical, social, and cognitive. I have to say, when I was studying classical music was my cognitive. That's, I would put it on, and then for some reason my brain would just snap to, right? It's almost like all the monkeys in my head, the circus monkeys in my head that go wild. It's almost like it was being distracted by the orchestra, and my mental state when I would get really kind of in a funk, I talked about this, I think last week or the week before in one of my shows, that, metal music of all sorts and varieties really kind of help calm my brain, especially if I'm in a mood. My playlist is literally called In a Mood. And if I'm in an angry mood, people would say, don't listen to that because it'll make you angry. Actually, it calms me down. I mean, I love all kinds of music. I really do. Again, not a big fan of country, not a big fan of rap, but every so often something from those genres tend to sneak in. But everything else, I really kind of keep my mind open to. So here's a fun fact about Shelly Marie. I do not like Steely Dan. I don't know why. Their music isn't bad, just not my thing. But I know people who just love them. I'll see, like, I watch this one guy on YouTube, the Professor of Rock, and every so often it's like, oh, they're like the biggest band ever. Like, I don't get it. But that's me, right? I mean, I listen to, like, when I was calming down, I blast my music in my bedroom, and my mom would have to come in, and I'd pretend to be asleep because I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I know exactly what that's for. I just got a gasp from Muddy. I know, I don't get it. Maybe it's because it's the guy I was dating at the time. He was very domineering and not very nice. I know. The shallow meter did not always work, which might be one of the reasons why I've been single for so long. Because, anyway, side note. But yeah, so I really do think that it can help. So when it says that it can benefit your aspects of your social aspects, maybe it's like karaoke, right? When it brings everybody together, or when you're singing with your family, or when, group songs, right? Group songs, like folk songs. Lots of people used to grab the guitar, sit around the fire, and let's sing all these folk songs. So, physical. I mean, how many of us have a playlist when we work out, right? I love to swim, so that makes it a little difficult because I have not found waterproof things yet. So I just sing in my head. But, and emotional and mental, that has really kind of pulled me together. And sometimes, my in a mood playlist isn't just for when I'm in a mood or when I'm in a kind of a funk. It's really kind of anything. I mean, I have a playlist that I change every month, and it's kind of like my music whim for the month of blah, blah, blah. And yes, I changed the month date and everything, but I'll add and I'll subtract from it, and there's everything in that one. Everything in that one. So sorry I made you gasps, Muddy. So also, music therapy can also support many aspects of a child's development, including behavior, learning, and emotions. Um, yeah, I don't see how it can't. I mean, when we're in school, we sing, right? We sing all these nursery rhymes. When we get older, there's the option of choir. I was in the school choir in primary, and from like, I think, second grade to eighth grade, through eighth grade. So, but the funny thing was, I was too shy to join choir when I was in high school, and my mom's like, you should do it. My mom was in the choir. Oh, you should do it. No. No, I don't want to sing in front of people. I auditioned for a play once in school and about lost my mind when I had to audition because it was just kind of like, I swear I almost had a panic attack. But yeah, it's because, I don't know. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I've gotten to the point now where I care less and less. Like when I'm at home, sometimes I'll sit in my room, I'll close my door, and I just turn up the stuff and I go to town. And every so often, I'll get a text message from siblings sounding really good tonight. It's just kind of like, oh, I forget people can hear me. And before, that used to make me just stop. And now it's just so she wouldn't say anything, because she's like, well, I'm just afraid you're not going to, just be yourself. But now I don't really care. Whether people think I can hold a note or not, I don't care. I like to sing. It's helpful. It's good and therapeutic. So music therapy can take place anywhere: hospitals, schools, nursing homes, senior centers, outpatient clinics, mental health centers, residence for people with developmental disabilities, and treatment facilities, basically substance abuse like rehab, and correctional facilities. I don't know, correctional facilities. I think Johnny Cash made that point, right? Folsom Prison Blues. So, I know, I feel like I'm channeling my inner Cash today, but, my all black, the man in black. So, but yeah, when it comes to like dementia or Alzheimer's, Bestie will, his mother-in-law has, dementia, and he'll put on music, and he'll turn around and she'll just be kind of dancing there, or she'll be singing because she remembers. To me, dementia is almost like, remember the movie, oh god, I forgot the whole name, but Benjamin Button, right? And he started out old, got older, and then went back to just aged backwards basically. And I feel like sometimes that's what dementia does. It pulls us backwards. It's almost like doing a rewind of your life, because that's what it seems in most cases that I've seen of people that I've known, where they regress to the point where it's like, they're teenagers again, and they just remember these things, but it can really kind of soothe them and calm them. And, it's kind of the same with, like the developmental disabilities. A lot of times it can just, it's like it speaks to a sound. There's also in music therapy frequencies. Now, a lot of metaphysicians will use this. They'll use tuning forks along with Reiki. They'll use tuning forks along with the Ho'oponopono. They'll use tuning forks for all kinds of things, and most of them have different frequencies. And there's ones that are just that touch all the chakras. Are called solfeggio tones. I think that's how you say it. So, and those are just basically the chakra ones, but I have an app where it just plays the tone, and I have to tell you, it's really helped. In fact, sometimes at night when I can't sleep, I'll just put on YouTube, I'll set the timer on my TV, and there's just one tone, and there's no music in it, it's just the tone. Singing bowls, crystal singing bowls. Oh God, that's my wish list, is to have a set of crystal singing bowls. I just have the tiny little metal one right now, or two of them actually. But yeah, I mean, I love those. They're great, and then like they really have that tone. And sometimes when I'm cleansing my house, I'll use the singing bowls, but then it's kind of like I gotta reel it in, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm feeling that. But if you've ever listened to certain kind, any kind of music, whatever music brings you joy, you'll, especially when you're angry or when you're sad, you feel it, right? You feel your favorite music just in the core of your being. Oh, Sammy, they're amazing. But you know what? That's the thing with singing bowls. There are different kinds. Okay, there are different tones. Like baby sibling, I don't know. We've decided that hers doesn't work for some reason. I mean, she puts it on the pillow and she bangs it, but we figure maybe hers is just a really deeper tone. For me, I watched videos and I did a lot of research before I bought mine, and it's really tiny, but I really, really love it. And then the other one I got in a metaphysical box I used to subscribe to, so it was pretty awesome. But yeah, so there's not a lot I can say about this particular subject because I don't know enough about it. Again, it's just like any other perspective where I'm just giving you my own perspective on it and what I think. But sibling had me watch a documentary about this one girl she knows, and her two sons are on the spectrum, and I mean on the deep spectrum. They're nonverbal, but they respond to music. They respond to sounds, and I think that comes back to the basic core of who we are. I mean, music exists for a reason. We love music for a reason. There are some people who would rather go home and turn on the stereo than the stereo. Just dated myself. Would rather go home and turn on their music than watch TV. Or there's some people who will turn on the TV but put on music on the TV, because then you get the pretty pictures, right? But and for me, like I said, sometimes when I can't sleep or when I'm going to sleep and I know I got some stuff, I have this weird tick, okay, that I've had since I was a kid, and it's like this weird throaty tick, and I notice when I put on the frequencies, it tends to disappear. So it's almost like for me, there's just something trapped and it's trying to tell me you need to either journal this or get it out. Of course, it's taken me like a bazillion years to figure this out. So whenever I start to get that, I realize, okay, I got to do something. And so I'll listen to the tones, and like I said, they have other ones. They have black screen on YouTube. So, like for me, I don't really live anywhere where it's super duper dark, but I can't always necessarily sleep with the TV on. But they have tones that are pretty much, it's black screen. So, it's as dark as it's going to get for a TV. And they have like the short ones, they have meditative ones. There's just all kinds of things that you can find on YouTube. You can probably even find a whole thing on music therapy on YouTube. But yeah, I love the tones. Excuse me, I love the tones, and they really kind of speak to me. They help me. They they relax me. And I always thought of myself as being kind of the person that when I zone out, it's TV. But a lot of times it really is music where I just, I think when it comes to TV, it's more, I don't want to go to sleep because sometimes when I listen to the music, it relaxes me so much I'm just out. But that was, my mom used to ask me, she's like, how can you sleep to this racket? And it's like, look, lady, I can, but I know every generation has their racket, right? I mean, my mom was a huge Elvis fan. Tell me Elvis wasn't controversial without telling me Elvis was controversial. Mr. Hips himself. Yeah, let's film him from the neck up, from the hair up, from the hairline up, because, he's suggestive. So, yeah, take that. But yeah, my mom was a huge Elvis fan. I came this close to being born on his birthday. I was like, nope. Ironically, though, I went into labor the day after his birthday, or my mom, not me, my mom. I forced labor because I'm like, I am not being born on that man's birthday. No, you do not get that satisfaction. Sorry. I love my mom. I'm sure I didn't have a choice, but, or maybe I did. And it's like, nope. So anyways, sorry. Like I said, I'm all over the place today. I would love to learn more about music therapy. I think, the fact that it can help all these things, traumatic brain injuries, I can see how it can speak to that. It can calm the mind. And there's different ones too. Now, I realize sometimes when people have migraines or whatever, the last thing they want is sound. But they do have really deep tones that don't, ping your brain to death. Mood disorders, anxiety, right? I mean, I can see how music can help anxiety. You put on your favorite tunes, you sit in your car, and you're just like, it helps you breathe, And I mean, we live in the age now where we can just take our phones and watch something if we feel like the anxiety, like, and go to lunch and watch something for half an hour or an hour, however long your lunch is. But, back in the day, when we went to our cars, all we had was music. And, we didn't have, well, I mean, there were portable TVs, but not exactly convenient or small. So I think this is something good to think about. I think that more medical professions like, senior living homes and all that should have that. Aunt Jackie, Laura's aunt, before she passed, she lived in a senior community, and I think every Wednesday or something they had a sing-along, just come down, we'll sing oldies and stuff like that. And they all loved it. I mean, she says, oh yeah, because Laura asked her, she's all, have you ever been down there? No, it gets really crowded. But she has been through there at times. And, one time Sibling and I dropped her off and walked her back to her place. And it was like, they were having singing. It was like, oh my God, can I just join you? Because this looks like super fun. But yeah, so I can see how it can help all these things. Like I said, for the cognitive part of it, I would put on classical music. When I write, I can't, this is going to sound funny, but I can't write without music. I cannot write without music. If I'm writing a story, I have to have music. And a lot of times I have to have a playlist, because if I have something where they're singing, I lose focus and I start to sing. So a lot of it too is knowing what works for you. Not just saying, oh, this is my favorite song, so this is what I'm going to use. And it might work for everybody, but if it doesn't, figure out what does. Like I said, we live in the age now of technology. So you can have like 1,000, 5,000 playlists on your phone if you want to, of just whatever you want, whatever suits your whim. And like I said, for me, I have writing music. I have relaxing music. I have in a mood. I have my whims, my musical whims. I have a playlist from when I'm driving, when I want to sing and when I don't want to sing. And so there's all kinds of things that music really, really just enhances in our life. And I think, I know there's people out there who don't care about music, who don't really care or like music, and that's okay. And again, if you're that person and you're watching this going, yeah, not a big music fan, remember, there are the tones, like the singing bowl tones, the crystal bowl tones, the tuning fork tones, and you can look all those up on YouTube and you can find out what works best for you. I tend to really like the really deep tones. And they're not always the ones that are beneficial. Believe it or not, there are healing frequencies. And people would be like, okay, here she goes. She's going off into over here. But technically, no. It's because these are sounds that your brain waves pick up. And, everything starts in the brain, right? You want to heal yourself, or you want to feel a little relief, start it in the brain. It's about calming things down. And it's kind of like we take a pill for, anti-inflammatory purposes. This is kind of like mental anti-inflammatory. All right. It's audible anti-inflammatories. So, I know that people will sit there and go, yeah, whatever, you're talking out of your ass. I have to tell you, they have worked for me. They have legit worked for me. And it still blows my mind to think about it, but it has. And it made a lot of sense as to the music I would pick when I was younger, when I wasn't feeling well, when I was in a mood, when I had pain. And it was just almost like, it's peace and love time. It's peace and love time. Sammy, you were right on that. It's noon in Atlanta. So, yeah. So anyways, I just saw Eileen's on. Good morning, Eileen. Speaking of Eileen, we had fun last week. I mean, if I hadn't looked at my clock or my phone, I probably would have been there all night. Would be like, oh, it's dark now. I should probably go home. But we just had fun. We just sat and talked, and I got puppy lovin's. Oh, I got puppy lovin's. I got puppy lovin's. It took them about half an hour to go, oh, okay, you're a safe human. But after that, it's kind of like, yeah, I got serious puppy lovin's. And Opal, my niece, she's so smart. I mean, she does all kinds of tricks. And, I don't care what anybody says. I really do think cats and dogs speak our primary languages. All right, whatever language you were raising your pet in, they know. They just play dumb. Because these dogs, like, you were talking, it's like, oh, it's like, they just know. So, I did. My little fur niece and my new fur nephew. I've never met his papas, but I've met him. So Chestnut was so cute. He's just kind of like, huh? And Opal, I love Opal. Yeah, those babies. I really needed that. I needed some fur baby loving and just a fun time. So thank you again, Eileen. That was very, very enjoyable. It was nice to just be able to hang out, because usually our hangouts are timed because we're either at a restaurant or we're having coffee. And this time it was just kind of like, we just sat and talked for like 7 hours, and I didn't even realize how much time had passed. So anyways, that being said, yeah, let's get back to this. So again, there's not much more I can share on this because I don't know a lot about music therapy. But if you love music, then you realize how therapeutic it really is. Like the other day, I went down to the pool, right? And there were some people down there, and they were playing the Latin music, and I was just like swimming in the pool, and they ended up leaving. But I did look over at one point because I was like, but I only looked over because I was like, why are you lowering it? It's like, I don't understand the music. But it was just so, I don't know, it was just so peppy and so happy and just kind of like, yeah. I mean, come on. I was in a Hawaiian band for 3 years, I think, and I did not understand a word I was saying. And I'm Hawaiian. I know. I know. I mean, I understood some of it, but not all of it. But not most of it. But it's the music. It's the music. It's happy. It's joyful. It's, like when you hear the people blasting the music down the road, it's like, that's the only thing. I don't care what kind of music you're listening to. Keep it in your car. All right. Keep it in your car. But, I think it's one of those things when we're younger, right? We want everyone to hear our music. I mean, I'm that nerd that will literally have my windows down. And the only reason I'm blasting my music is because I need to be able to hear it when I'm driving and the wind's blowing through my ears. But yeah, I'm the nerd who will blast the movie scores. I love movie scores. James Horner and Hans Zimmer are two of my favorites, and their scores always just. I write a lot to both of their soundtracks. Their scores across the board, and there's other ones too. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, there's like Jerry Goldsmith, there's John Williams, there's just everybody, just all kinds of people. Those two are my favorites, and I for the longest time I didn't know their names, but again, in the advent of technology, when you're downloading stuff, you're like, oh, that's that guy's name. Or, you start to look when you watch the movies because you hear the similarities. But yeah, so that's my therapy. I really am my father's daughter when it comes to movie soundtracks. But yeah, I'm that nerd. The other day I was blasting Backdraft driving down the road. Like, yeah. So, but I don't care because it brings me joy. And that's what matters. Does your music bring you joy? If you're in an agitated mood and your music starts to agitate you, maybe change it a little bit. So let's see. So Sammy says, and she's paraphrasing this, okay? I think Pete Townsend of The Who made some comment about one day we'll find out that God is a single musical note, and one that no one has ever heard. Oh, I'm probably butchering it, but no, I totally get it. Yeah, and it might be, right? He might be that ultimate tone that we just don't know. And I mean, that's perfect coming from a music guy, right? To hear that God is a single musical note. And who knows, that musical note might be the one that when it comes through the veil, it just splashes out into all the other notes, right? And then maybe if we put them all together at the same time and just played it, that would be the note, the tone, the tone. So, and who knows, someone may have done that, right? I mean, Beethoven wrote so many of the famous works when he was almost deaf. Okay? I mean, it's wild. That's wild. And I have to say, I was very fortunate. Several years ago, my mom was still alive, so I think it was 2014, because I remember visiting her in the hospital and showing her this stuff. And sibling and I, they had a Beethoven exhibit at a museum near one of our local big museums. Okay, but it was it had like his stuff, and I mean, this is someone who I love. Ode to Joy. Just, I didn't realize how long Ode to Joy was. It is actually 4 pieces. And the last one is the one that everyone really knows. But if you listen to the whole thing, and then you get to that 4th piece where it just, you hear what we're so, familiar with, it blows your mind. It blows your mind bigger than if you just listen to the 4th piece. Because it's like, whoa, it's the buildup. It's the buildup. And that's what I love. I love the buildup. Oh, she said, Sammy says, that is why musicians talk about the lost chord. I'm intrigued. I'm like 100% intrigued now. But yeah, wow. The lost chord. Maybe that's what, sometimes when people hear something when they die, they're like, I hear, but they can never explain it, Maybe that's it. People will explain it as choirs singing, or, the rock gods in heaven, or whatever you want to call it, whatever your beliefs are, the final Buddhist note, or the Hindu note, or the Muslim note, or, the Christian note, the Catholic note, all those things, maybe that's the one note that unifies everybody. So if anybody figures that out, put a speaker over the planet and play it, please. Because we need some common sense, and we need something to make sense on this planet right now. Did you notice alien sightings have gone down? Probably because they're like, nope, we're out. Get your shit together and we might come back. just messing with you. Sort of. I don't know where that thought came from. It just hit my mind, and I thought, wouldn't that be funny if they're just like, nope, see ya. I don't know. I don't know if, Sammy says, I bet you're right. That's it. I don't know, but I do wonder. I wonder, if it's just that one tone that everybody hears. My mom heard right before my mom slipped into her coma, like slipped, or when, and I mean, she hadn't quite gone into it yet. She was still lucid, but every so often you could tell when she was kind of transitioning a little bit. She was in a coma for about 5 days because, I have to tell you, she really needed the last rites read to her. When she got those, she was out. Like, it took her less than a day to go. But when she was kind of slipping in and out, and she would be asleep and I'd be sitting with her, she would hear things. Like, she would hear music. She's like, oh, that sounds so pretty. And I am telling you, that has got to be it. That has got to be it. Maybe those weird sounds that we hear over the forests, maybe the trees are singing. I don't know. I mean, people are going to watch this and they're going to say, you are out of your ever-loving mind. But am I? We close our thoughts and our minds to the possibilities of everything. I mean, do I believe in aliens? Fuck yeah. And why? Because it's a big universe. We cannot possibly be the only people in it. That's ego. Ego tells us that we want to believe we're the only people in it. But I think ego also tells us that because the 50s were chock full of movies talking about how the aliens wanted to destroy our planet. Come on. In the late 1800s, H.G. Wells wrote, or maybe it was the early 20th century. I don't know. But H.G. Wells, who lived a long time ago, wrote, oh God, that one just slipped my mind. The one that caused the big panic when Orson Welles read it. I don't know what's happening to my brain today. It's like someone's just poking my head going, you're going to look stupid today. And it's happening. But no, whatever it is, I'm sure somebody out there knows. I'll put it in the comments on Facebook because, that's right. Sammy says, you're not out of your mind. The music of the spheres, baby. That's right. The music of the spheres, baby. Big time. Big time. Don't discount what we can't see. Don't discount what, you can't touch. A lot of people needs, thank you. War of the Worlds. I literally had it in my head, then I talked about it and forgot it. Thank you, Sammy. So War of the Worlds, right? Right? And I believe that was an H.G. Wells story. I'm pretty sure. And then Orson Welles read it. So, yeah, I mean, come on. I grew up thinking, oh my God, what if the aliens come? Or like even Independence Day, right? From the 90s. What if they come? But then you see movies like Men in Black and you're kind of like, I wonder. I wonder what somebody knows. And you have to wonder. In fact, it's okay. So just for funnies. All right. So the other day I was watching something and I think it was on Aliens? But somebody said, yeah, we saw something and blah, blah, blah. But then they said when the people arrived, like they saw the Men in Black, like literally Men in Black. And then all of a sudden they left. But when they were questioned by reporters, they couldn't remember, they couldn't remember anything. And that's the way they made it sound. They couldn't remember anything or they wouldn't talk about it. And I'm like, that's because they got zapped by the flashy thing. Oh, my dad was just looking at me like, really? Well, how do we know, right? I mean, how do we know? When you put something in front of somebody in the form of entertainment, the first thing they're going to do is discount it and disbelieve it, because how can that be possible? I'm just leaving you with thoughts here. I'm leaving you with thoughts. No, I'm not nuts. I just have a very open mind. And don't discount the people that have an open mind. Seriously, don't discount the people that have an open mind. I was watching on 60 Minutes how people have started misusing frequencies, like bad people, to wipe out other people and their minds. Like one family was stationed, I can't remember where it was that they were stationed, but the woman kept saying it. She just started hearing all these tones, and it actually affected her and her husband, their mental state, and it kind of wrecked the chemistry in their brain. But so somebody was weaponizing sound, and that's not good. We want to use sound and music to love one another, not weaponize it. God, you give people a gift and then they find a way to weaponize it, right? So I love the fact that every year on his birthday, Ringo Starr does peace and love. And, do your peace and love at your noon. I love that Sammy shared it. She told me she was going to do it yesterday, which is what inspired the music therapy show. But I love that he does that, because the more love we put into this world, the more I think we have the tendency to be able to save it, to help it, to make it better. And the less, I don't know, I think I'm just talking out of my butt now. So, yeah, so Woodstock is a good example of bringing people together. All these music festivals they have nowadays, they have the Newport Jazz Festival, they have the, and I think that's actually Newport East Coast, but they have a Newport Festival out here. They have a Dana Point Festival out in Orange County, just music festivals, and that cover all genres of music, right? All genres. And it brings people together. It doesn't matter what your politics are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't, it's music. Music unifies us. Music binds us. Music therapy, helps people with getting better. It helps them cope. It can calm them down, because it's the tones that hit the brain. If you notice everything I talked about, dementia, traumatic brain injury, stroke, Parkinson's disease, autism spectrum, mood disorders, anxiety, learning disabilities, developmental disabilities, substance use, pain, acute and chronic. A lot of these things are triggered and it's firing off in our brain, and I'm not saying that it's all in our head. No, these things are legit, but all of your nerves start up here and then they disperse throughout your body. It's the center of everything. And, there's also cancer, right? I mean, it can help people with cancer. I mean, they got so much on their mind, and it can just calm people. It can bring us together. It can, just people at a karaoke bar. I love it when people get up and even, whether they can sing or not sing, people just cheer them on. And I love that. It's a community. Everybody may go to their different lives. There could be two people sitting next to each other that agree on absolutely nothing, but music has brought them together. Go to a concert, right? You might be sitting next to someone that you never thought in your life you would ever talk to. And yet, poof, music brought you together. So music therapy is more than just helping, the injured or the struggling or the suffering. It binds us. It really brings us together. And what if that one musical note is all the notes put together at one time? And I don't mean just like our basic scale. I mean the whole scale. Everything. What if somebody took every single note that we know and just put it all together at one time? What sound would that make? Maybe that's the God note that Pete Townsend talked about. Maybe that's the note. And like I said, when it hit the veil, it just dispersed into all different notes. And we were given the gift of music, all kinds of music, So anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but I'm sure I'll come up with something today. So, but yeah, just think about that, whether you believe in the God note or you don't believe in the God note, or whether you like music or not, just think about how it has brought people together. And like I said, I know there's people out there who don't like music. Dad and I were watching the Padre game yesterday, and it was on national TV, and the announcer just said, I know nothing about music. Now, he didn't say he doesn't know music, he just doesn't know anything about music. And he so of course my ears perked up because they mentioned Duran Duran. I love Duran Duran. I've loved Duran Duran since I was like 11. But yeah, they started joking with him and teasing him because he couldn't even get the name of the song right. He kept calling it Angry Like the Wolf instead of Hungry Like the Wolf. So that's just my little side thing because that made me laugh. But anyways, so one last time, happy birthday to Ringo, Butch, and Bruce. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Sammy, as always, thank you for popping on. And thank you for inspiring today's and remember, guys, at noon your time, and it doesn't matter, you could be watching this 4 months from now, okay? Eileen, also, thank you for popping on. But yeah, I don't care if you're watching this 4 months from now, if it's before noon, Marge Simpson said music is none of my business. I love that. But yeah, wherever you are at noon your time, whatever day it is, peace and love. Put that peace and love out in the world, baby. So, all right, again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelly Marie Lucas. And you can find my reposts across the social media board, generally under my name or the Aloha Perspective. All right, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to Sammy and Eileen for popping on. And yeah, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Go out there, listen to your favorite music, okay? And every time you start feeling icky, listen to your favorite music. Have a great day.